welcome back. Today we're going to replace the Pitman Arm on our 2nd gen 4Runner. So the Pitman Arm is located on the driver's side underneath the front of your 4Runner. It's the direct link between your steering column and the rest of the steering mechanism. So the part that we have here is just a replacement Pitman Arm. Looks like this, comes with castle nut and a cotter pin. This one is not greasable. I wanted one that was greasable, but Lordco didn't have one in stock at the time. I'll leave a link in the description for a Moog brand one that I believe is greasable. So some non-common tools that you might need for this job is an adjustable heavy-duty Pitman Arm puller. Looks like this. Basically, you can undo these wing nuts and it opens and closes these jaws here, and then you can twist and screw in this part to pop off your Pitman Arm. This number here is 77170, but I picked up this from Canadian Tire, and all you have to do is you basically pay for the price of the tool, and then when you are done using it, clean it up, take it back to them, and then you can return it and get all your money back. So it's basically a free rental for like 3 days. The other part that you're going to need is a larger than normal socket in most socket sets. So this one's a 1 1/4. I know Toyotas are metric, but 1 1/4 fits fine and we'll get the job done. So what I tried to do when driving up on the ramps was keep the wheels exactly straight. You can see here there's some splines on this shaft that correspond with the splines in the hole there. As long as you don't move the steering wheel or move any of the wheels, I believe that your alignment should not be thrown off and your steering wheel will remain straight. So as usual, you want to make sure that these parts are compatible. So the first step is to remove the cotter pin and this bolt off of the steering crossmember here. The next thing I'm going to do is undo this castle nut. So this castle nut is a 19 millimeter. So this big bolt here is 1 1/4 inch, at least in my case, because that's the biggest one I have. So now you grab your Pitman puller, back it off a ways, slide it on. There it goes. Tighten up the arms with the wing nuts. The biggest one I have here is 1 1/16 inch socket. Don't know if that's gonna work because it's slightly too big. I suspect it's like a 25 or a 26 millimeter, but hopefully I don't need much. There she goes. I realize now what I probably should have done was get the part to the steering linkage off before popping off the arm here. Okay, so even though this moves around and moves the wheel, if I leave this the same, it shouldn't screw up any alignment or anything, in theory. The reason I say that is because I haven't touched the steering wheel. This is the exact same distance between the two parts because the parts are the same. I should just be able to slide this on and it should all work out. So on the old Pitman Arm, you can see right there, there's this line. So what you want to do is have it correspond with that line right there. This Pitman Arm, unfortunately, doesn't have one. So Basically what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the wheel is straight, and I'm just gonna try and not move anything while I tighten this up. Now I'm gonna take my bolt and washer, put it back on. So this nut here is a 19mm. So according to the factory service manual, this nut needs to be torqued to 130 foot-pounds, and this nut needs to be torqued to 67 foot-pounds. So here's the old Pitman arm, and I just want to show you why I chose to replace this part. This is supposed to be really stiff, and this is just super sloppy. Okay, so let's take her for a test drive. The Pitman arm is doing its job. However, this is what the steering wheel looks like when we're driving straight down the road. So what I'm going to do is have to pop it off the big spline, and I'm going to move the steering wheel back to probably around here, and then try and get it back up again so that the steering wheel is straight. Just took it off, adjusted the steering wheel, put it back on, and retorqued it to 130 foot-pounds. So let's go for another test drive and see if the steering wheel is now fixed. Nope. Now it's worse. Okay, so the steering wheel is still not straight. So what I'm going to try and do is see if I can take it off. It seems that the splines on the inside of the replacement Pitman arm don't line up correctly with where the position of the splines are on the vehicle, and the steering wheel keeps wanting to kick over to one side or the other, and they're pretty extreme. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is just try and sort out the steering wheel and reset the steering wheel position. The vehicle rides fine, but this is kind of ridiculous. So in order to remove the steering wheel, first we need to take the pad off, and that will expose the main nut underneath. So to remove the horn pad here, there's one Phillips head screw on the back of the steering wheel, and then there's two pop tabs, little plastic tabs you can see underneath there, that black one right there. There's two of those that are holding it onto the steering wheel. Don't just pull it off all the way, there's wiring and stuff behind it. And there it pops off. So behind this pad, here's the wiring harness for the horn. To disconnect the pad, you can just pull off this connector off the back of the horn and then pull the pad off and out of the way. So the size of this nut is a 19mm. There we go, that worked. There we go. Now it's straight. So it states that in the factory service manual that this nut is supposed to be torqued to 25 foot-pounds, which is the lowest setting on my torque wrench. There we go. And now we can put the horn back on. So bottom of the steering wheel, obviously Toyota goes up. Don't forget to connect the horn itself with that little connector on the inside. Might have jacked it up. Might hear a little honk. There we go. There you go. So now the steering wheel's back on. Let's go for a test drive. So we're driving down the road and the steering wheel is pretty much straight. Maybe a little bit to the left, but way better than it was before. Okay, so that sums up today's project on replacing the Pitman arm and straightening out the steering wheel on your 2nd gen 4Runner. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.